Welcome to Public Speaking with Peter George. Do you want to be calm, confident, and credible every time you speak in public? Then stay tuned as Peter and his guests discuss public speaking tips, techniques, and tactics that help you increase your impact, influence, and income. Here's your host, the author of The Captivating Public Speaker, Peter George.
Are you an empowered public speaker? Or do you sometimes shy away from the challenges that public speaking presents, even though you know they're necessary for growth? Then listen in as my guest, Victoria Rader, helps you focus on your message instead of yourself. And she explains how using what-if scenarios helps you shift your attention to the possibility of success. Victoria is a transformational speaker and founder of You Too Shine. She empowers coaches, entrepreneurs, and people who seek personal development to grow in all areas of their lives through the proven formula of success. As a result, they have more peace, purpose, and prosperity. Here's my conversation with Victoria Rader. Hi, Victoria. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Peter. It's great to be here.
Victoria, you speak about transformation and empowerment, and this leads right to my first question. How might my listeners know that they're meant to be public speakers?
I think that you have this inkling, and then you kind of get yourself, you're listening to a public speaker, and you're like, wow, he should have said it this way. She should, oh, come on, So you feel this criticism, and you're a little bit upset that you're being critical and you're torn by it. That would be the first inkling that you belong on that stage. And the second one is you have a message. You just have this deep need that you might not be aware of, but you have a deep message inside you. And you might or might not know that that message belongs on the stage. But if you find yourself sharing it with friend after friend after friend after friend, you have a message that belongs on a stage.
So it's something they can just feel within themselves.
And observe as feeling within themselves is translated into speaking in a repetitive pattern. Subconscious mind tries to get our attention through repetition. Sometimes if this is how it works, client comes and they say, I don't worry about money, blah, 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 but I don't worry about money, blah, 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 blah. I have this big vision, but I don't worry about money. The blah, blah, blah is what their mind, what they want to believe about themselves. But the repetition is the massive message inside that is coming through. So now that it's in our awareness, you will probably find yourself saying, oh my gosh, yeah, I've told this to this friend and I've told this to this friend and I think about it and I read about it, and that is your message. Frame it, form it, and it becomes transformative.
Once my listeners realize they're meant to be a public speaker, we know that some of them are going to deal with the fear of public speaking. What is it that you advise to them to help them overcome it?
In a way that might sound almost a little too pragmatically direct, it's not about you. The second you understand that it never has been about you, that moment you become an empowered public speaker. And I speak from experience. I was incredibly painfully shy. I was so shy as a child that reaching out to a stranger was an unbearable idea. And an interesting thing happened to me and for me. There was a need by another person that was greater than my shyness. And I went and I met that need. And I pondered on that moment quite a bit. And it's a person who's in my life in the private, right? So can't share necessarily the need. But at that moment, I realized that, wait a minute, I'm not talking to 50, 100, 1,000 people. If I am on stage and if I have a message, there's that one person in that audience, and I'm going to talk to that one person because their need is greater than my ego. Their need is greater than my fear. Their need is why I am here. And once you feel it, once you know it, and you will, once you no longer worry about how you appear, but who the person is, I get on the stage, I pause and I say, okay, where are you? I'll actually say it in my mind, where are you? And I'll pause and I'll feel like the pull, and I'll be like, you're right there. I'm talking to you. And it's amazing how miracles happen. Talk to one person. Everybody else is there just kind of eavesdropping.
You want everybody to, or at least as many as possible, feel, wow, she's talking right to me.
Yeah. And to do that, talk to them. Talk to that one.
One of the things you speak about is the difference between the scared and the sacred. How does that apply to public speaking?
We have two voices. If we're lucky. If we're less lucky, we have many voices in our head, but we have at least two. Okay. So, hey, maybe for somebody, this is like, I'm normal. Okay. I'm normal. I have two voices. I'm normal. I call them the voice of the scared and the voice of the sacred. You look at the letters, same letters. The only difference is where C is placed. I call that C the C of commitment. And to me, every day is recommitting from scared to sacred. Why? Because we can hear the scared much faster. The scared says, what can go wrong? How does my hair look like? What if the mic doesn't work? The scared's job is to identify every possibility of failure for you and for the audience. And it's so good doing that because over millennia, of brain development, it was trained to protect you from disaster, from danger. And so it's going to start sniffing around, and it's important not to force it, not to numb it, but say, I hear you. And then I say the two magic words, what if? What if? Those two magic words shift you from possibility of failure, possibility of success. What if, despite all of this going wrong, I will touch somebody in a way that nobody has touched them, maybe save their life with one sentence, maybe. What if? What if the mic no longer works and only the front row can hear me? And there's that one person in that row that has never been paid so much attention to. What if my wig blows off? I don't have one, but who cares? What if, and there will be a cancer person who lost their hair and I will talk to them. What if this is a sacred moment, regardless of all the scared noise?
Have you heard what noted speakers and readers are saying about Peter's book, The Captivating Public Speaker? An incredible resource full of practical and easy-to-implement advice. Something for everyone, no matter what your current skill level is. Will help you achieve the results you've been striving for. After this episode, please use the link in the show notes to check out The Captivating Public Speaker on Amazon. Now, back to Peter and his guest.
So how often do we listen to that scared voice and never move on to that sacred one?
I think more than we are willing to admit. More than we're willing to admit. For a lot of us, being uncomfortable became comfortable. And I don't mean uncomfortable in a situation, but being financially broke or not living our dream or not fulfilling our path. We settled. And we've settled because we've gotten so good at listening to that message of the scared. But I think the gorgeous path is that once you thank it and ask the what if question, you cannot undo it. You cannot look back. You're now on the journey of sacred. And all of a sudden you say, wait a minute, I did that? That's pretty remarkable.
Is it as much as looking out for ourselves when we do the scared part as it is being afraid of failure?
I think it is both because, and they're one and the same. Because you can only fail if you have a certain expectation. Think of it. What is a failure? It's not meeting an expectation. That's it. So if your one expectation is that no matter what, I'm going to do the very best that I'm capable of. And I'm not attached to results. It goes counterculture. Culture says measure results. Even COVID failed to teach us that we're not in control of results. We're only in control of the effort we put in. And you cannot fail with the effort. So you become failure-free. You're not responsible for what's going to come out. You're only responsible for what you put in. That encourages you to attempt the impossible and then look back and say, wow, how did that happen? I don't know. So that's the pattern of overcoming the scared and the fear of failure. Let go of expectations. Let go of Seek perfection and strive for excellence. No need for perfection, it's unattainable. Excellence is in your effort, not necessarily in the result.
I love that advice. I like to tell my clients, don't go for perfection, go for connection.
Oh,
If you can connect with the audience, that just gets you in a place that both of you are benefiting from this.
and just remember that somebody's in that audience is looking at you like you looked at somebody being uneasy and saying, man, they could have done this better. That's their calling to be on stage. So yeah, let them feel that towards you. You're doing your job. You're disappointing them. Beautiful.
I don't know if I've ever heard it put that way, but I kind of like it. Let's say now they get over that fear of public speaking, or at least learn how to manage it and deal with it. A lot of people think, oh, yeah, okay, I'm not afraid to get up there in front of them, but I'm not a good speaker. What are the main qualities of a good speaker?
I think for me personally, right, and there are a lot of ways to describe that, is authenticity. I think a good speaker is somebody who is very authentic and knows what their message is and doesn't bend it to the audience. I see a lot of speakers come to the audience and they have a message. They're afraid the audience won't receive this message, and they try to come up with something else. So instead of changing the what, change the how. Change how you deliver your authentic truth, never your authentic truth. If you stick to this formula, you will become an incredibly impactful speaker. You cannot please everyone. You shouldn't go for it. But the more you share your message, the more clear you become with that message, and the more you will be aligned with the audience that is eager for that message.
And once you start doing it, becomes easier.
You become stronger. Life becomes easier because we become stronger. And I find that challenges keep up at the level of our growth. I mean, we've come here to grow. So we've come here to grow. And my one advice for any public speaker, including myself, is if you don't have the butterflies in your stomach before you get on that stage, maybe you just don't care enough. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be anxious. It means you care, that you find the one that is there to hear you, that you connect to them in your gorgeous words, Peter. We're not going for I feel nothing. The flat line is something else. That's like death. Right. We're not going for that.
Well, it's like an athlete. They should hang up their cleats or shoes or glove or whatever the day that they no longer feel it.
Love it.
Right? You have to have that. I have so many clients that say, Peter, help me get over this feeling. And I say, no, you don't want to get over this feeling. You want to deal with it. You want to manage it. You want to know why it's there, and you want to use it, but you don't want to get rid of it.
Couldn't agree more.
When you're speaking, what's your number one go-to technique? Do you have one for engaging the audience?
Make fun of myself in a genuine way. When people know you can laugh at yourself, it puts them at ease. Because I'm not there to preach. I'm there to say, here's 1,000,000 ways I found why this doesn't work. So I wanted to share with you the one that it does. As opposed to, well, from the ascended throne that I've come down, and the expert in the field that I am, please kneel down. I am ready to bless you with my message. You lost everybody. So genuine, humble way of knowing that, yeah, you're so very human. And just because you're in the limelight, you just overcame that fear that maybe some of them are still struggling to overcome.
I've seen people use self-deprecating humor to perfection, like you're saying. But I've seen other people use too much of it. Do you agree that's possible?
Absolutely. It goes back to authenticity, right? To me, it'll always drive back to authenticity. If you're trying too hard, doing anything, you are not being authentic. Because if you're authentic, it comes effortless to you. Because that's just such a simple evaluation. If you're forcing and you're trying, you're not authentic. You can actually pause on a stage and say, wait a minute, you know what, guys? I'm trying too hard. Whoa, that's the genuine vulnerability. That's the immediate connection. That's not deprecating. That's not cutting my own self-worth. That's cutting my ego and saying, wait a minute, I'm trying too hard here. Okay? Now, see, that's funny, but it's funny with a point and it's genuine. And then back to authenticity. And then if you are authentic, something that you do find funny will come through authentically, not as trying too hard. And if you don't have sense of humor, do not make jokes. I mean, come on, you. Do a serious presentation. This is all good.
I remember way back when I was young and really first starting to speak on stage, I grew up with a very matter-of-fact vocabulary. Yet I got on stage and tried to use 5-syllable words that I had never, ever used in my life. So if you try to use 5-syllable words that you've never used before, they just do not come out of your mouth well. And I would try, and it just wasn't me. And it was actually my wife said, I don't know who was up on stage, but it wasn't you. And that was a long flight home from that presentation because I had to look at myself and say, who am I trying to be here? And my wife said, just be you. If you can help people, help them. If you can't, that's okay too. You tried. Just be you.
By the way, unsolicited advice now from Peter and me, get married. You'll become a better speaker, better person.
Any success I've ever enjoyed comes from her.
Oh.
She's not only a great partner in life, she is a terrific, absolutely amazing business person with great insight. So I've learned a lot from her. Speaking of inspiration, where I have it from my wife, I believe inspiration is a key ingredient to success. Who are some of the speakers that have inspired you and why?
I would like to kind of put them in category. Brian Buffini is a real estate coaching company owner and a phenomenal public speaker. You know, for 14 years, my past is in real estate, and I've gotten to go to his mastermind conferences with my children because we had some of the best speakers in the world speak there and, you know, shifting and inspiring the kids, and things that I was saying all of a sudden were heard by them from the people on stage, you know. And so what made Brian so unique to me is that I would come every year and he had a very different topic and a very different approach. And from my experience with quite a few public speakers up till then, it was always kind of the same speech with few changes for years, you know, and you go to different audiences. But he did something magnificent. He had the same audience that was growing, and he was growing through with the audience. Excellent sense of humor, excellent capacity to react to what is happening, react to, you know, very quick on his feet. I think for a lot of speakers, being quick on your feet is so important because as things shift, you want to be able to shift with that, you know, light on, light off, sound on, whatever happens there. You know, makeup artist didn't come in, you know, whatever happens, you've got to be. And I think Brian and then a couple of the guests there that he's brought, one of my all-time favorite was John O'Leary. John O'Leary was burned as a 9-year-old boy, went through a horrific accident, and his story and the way he delivered the story and the lessons that he taught just stayed with me. As a matter of fact, when I did one season of a podcast, because I wanted to bring my favorite speakers there, John O'Leary was one of the very first that I've invited because I wanted that story to have another breath. So for different reasons, but those are two of my favorite speakers.
Coincidental. I just listened to a podcast with John O'Leary. Hadn't heard of him before. An amazing story. And he presents so well. He just engages you. He brings you right in to his story and the benefit to you as a listener of his story.
Brilliant human being, authentic human being, loving human being. I just, yeah.
Victoria, this has been enjoyable. I really appreciate your perspective on public speaking and helping speakers. Where can my listeners connect with you?
On our site at U2Shine, YU2Shine.com. You can get a free session, you can get a money quiz, lots of goodies there.
Great. Thank you so much for being here today. It's been very beneficial, and I'm sure it served my listeners well.
Thank you, Peter.
That's a wrap of another episode of Public Speaking with Peter George. Be sure to tune in again for a conversation with another public speaking expert. And remember to use the link in the show notes to go to Amazon and check out Peter's acclaimed book, The Captivating Public Speaker.